Hey everybody, it is time. It's almost time. Actually, we just have a few minutes and we are going live. Um, for those of you who are just tuning in, I want to introduce myself. My name is Punchetta Lanu. I go by Punchetta Sasha Wu on Facebook. Social media, you can follow me at Punchetta Sasha Wu on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You can also follow my brand. I am the founder of Punch Cosmetics. You can follow Punch Cosmetics on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and I also have a YouTube channel called Punch TV, and you can follow me there as well. These videos will also be posted on Punch TV. Today, I'm going to be premiering my very first episode of Building the Brand, which is a webinar, a web series. Let me call it what it is. It's a web series about brands that I interview individual entrepreneurs about how they're building amazing brands. And I have a doozy for you today. I'm introducing a friend of mine. We met like 4 years ago in Longview. I'm from, and those of you who don't know me, I'm from Longview, Texas. My friend, of course, is also from Longview, Texas, by way of New York, by way of Los Angeles, and also by way of Houston. She's been all around now, and she is building a spectacular brand in all of these places and as a celebrity stylist. And I'm going to talk with her today about how she's building her styling brand, her celebrity style brand in all over the world. So I'm going to bring her on in just a few minutes, but I just want to tell you guys what Building the Brand is all about. Building a Brand is my web series that I created so that I can educate entrepreneurs about what it takes to build a brand. People start a business so oftentimes and they think that once they start that business, that's all they need to do. No, ma'am. If you really want to build your brand, if you really want to build your business the way you want, you got to build your brand first. So we're talking about how people are building these amazing brands and in essence also building great businesses behind it. So we're going to talk today with Lauren Taylor. That is my friend, she's a celebrity stylist. And she's going to be talking to you about how she has got the juice. She got some skin in the game with her celebrity clients that she has sorry about that. So, had some technical difficulties. They didn't want y'all to hear that T. That's what it was. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring in my friend, Lauren Taylor. She's a celebrity stylist, and she's going to tell you how she has built this amazing brand nationwide, and she's going global with it. And I'm going to tell you all the details. So here we are. Oops.
Hello.
Hey.
I think I may have been on the whole time, and I'm just like, I've just been like,
right. I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, I'm about to mess this up. What's up?
Hello. What's going on?
How's it going today?
You know, it's weird. I'm in Houston, actually. But you know that. Yeah, you know that. I kind of got away from LA just because everything has kind of been going a little nuts. So I figured if I'm gonna quarantine, I'd rather be with my sister and my dog and get to see my mom and hang out with family. So, I mean, it's just kind of better than just sitting in LA not working right now since Hollywood is shut down.
Right. We're gonna get to that in just a minute. But you're quarantined in Houston. How fun is that? Because you went from one city with high numbers to another city with extremely high COVID numbers.
I know. I'm like nuts. It's like I'm addicted to big cities. It's like technically I should have just gone to Longview and stayed with my mom, but I mean, it's me and my sister were super close, so I mean, I might as well be here with her too.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Do the same thing. It's nothing like being with your sister in a time where you could just bond. This is that time where
Right.
you can enjoy.
Exactly.
You create your own memories, adult memories.
Exactly.
So I just introduced you. I don't know how much of that you heard.
All of
But
it. I think I was on. I think I was just like, oh, that's. I think my camera was just on the whole time, so I was just listening. I was just like, oh, she's so cute.
that's funny. Well, for people who don't know you, tell people about who you are. Give them your name and tell them where you're from. We got a rep. Well, that
Right. Okay. Boom. So I'm from Longview. Most people should know that if they know you, but if you don't, I'm from Longview, Texas. I graduated class of '02. I'm sorry, my brain is like, what year did I graduate? I went to Texas A&M for undergrad. I graduated in '06. After that, I was an animal science major in college, which is so funny. It's like the funniest story because everybody's like, wait, so you're into fashion, but you were an animal science major. And I thought that I wanted to be a veterinarian, but medical school was like, nah. So
I would have never.
I did. I love animals. I love animals so much. Oh my God. Like I love animals almost as much as I love fashion. So I graduated, I got my degree and moved to Houston, was in Houston for 2 years, and then Hurricane Ike happened, and then that's when I decided to move to New York. And that's how a lot of people don't know that. So that's how my transition happened. So like my apartment got flooded and I got let out of my lease. I had to move with my sister for a couple months while saving money. I got like a second job because I was just, so for my college graduation, me and my mom, my sister, my aunt and cousins, we went to New York on like a girls trip and I fell in love with it like instantly. And the whole saying about New York has energy, it is a thing. So the minute I got there,
you were young,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it was so funny. I told my mom the minute that we got there, I was like, I'm gonna live here.
I love New York.
And yeah, and then I just kind of figured it out. I sold all of my belongings that I had in my apartment that didn't get damaged. And I bought a one-way ticket, and I was like, out, I'm out. Wow. So that's where it started. Wow. But I'm a Sag, so I'm super free-spirited. I'm super kind of impulsive in that sense of like, I yearn for like change and like a journey and, forward moving. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's how I ended up in New York.
So tell me about, like, once you got to New York, you didn't know that you wanted to get into the fashion industry.
No.
So how long did it take you before you realized? Because FYI, for those of you who don't know about New York, I'm sure you've heard New York is like the fashion capital of the world. So how long did it take you before you realized, like, oh, this is my ish? But before, wait, you got to back up. Was fashion a thing for you, like in school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't a thing per se, but I know growing up, I was always obsessed with it. Like I was obsessed with the '90s supermodels, like Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, like all of those girls. Like I was obsessed. I had a book about them, and I just knew, like, I mean, I was super young, so I didn't know about a career in fashion, but I knew that was just like, I love beauty, I love style, like all of it. It wasn't until I moved to New York, I was probably there for maybe like 6 months, and I realized I met a girl. Let me back up. So I was working as a receptionist at a law firm, and one of the lawyer's girlfriends worked for a fashion magazine, and we became friends. And she was like, let me take you to this fashion show. And so we went, and it was like Kamora Lee Simmons was there, Russell Simmons was there. Like, it was just like a whole other world for me. And I had never experienced or seen anything like it. And from that moment, like I knew I wanted to be in fashion. I didn't know what exact career I wanted at the time, but I just knew like that whole career was like, or that industry was what I wanted to be in.
Great. So at that point, how long did it take you before you actually started blogging? Because you started blogging while you were in New York, correct?
Yes. So I started blogging shortly after because that was like my way of being able to attend Fashion Week. And I knew I needed to learn like the different avenues of fashion. Like I didn't know really anything about it. So I was like, okay, well, I need to be where fashion is. So let me go to Fashion Week. So I started blogging. I started like a fashion blog, and I leveraged that to be able to get invitations to shows. And I mean, I wasn't going to like the Michael Kors shows or like, Reem Acra or any of those yet, but I was sitting like second or third row. I would sneak my way in because they normally just gave you standing only passes if you were like a known blogger. But yeah, like at that point, I mean, you're in the building, you're surrounded by people that are in the industry, you're in a close proximity. So you're in like the perfect place to network and meet people and learn and see what avenues there are. I remember one time I was getting ready to go to Nicole Miller's show, and I snuck in pre-show just to see what happens to like, to set up for a show. And they thought I was one of the models, and they were like, no, you have to be backstage. And I was just like, actually, I'm not supposed to be here, but but I just, I'm gonna just sneak right on back out. So yeah, like, I mean, it's just all about putting yourself in positions where you can learn and see what you like. I mean, like I said, I didn't know what avenue I wanted to go in. I just knew I wanted to be there so I can figure it out.
So did you use those opportunities to network and meet like some of the people that eventually may help you later on? How did that work?
At first I was shy, but then I met a lot of other bloggers. Yeah. Like it was one of those situations. Like I do remember meeting people who worked for like Vogue or but also I did go into it knowing I didn't want to work for a magazine. Like that was the one thing I knew I didn't want to work for a publication because it's not a lot of money in it, and I don't know. It's just the way that their grind is a lot different. I knew that I wanted to work directly with people. I just didn't know exactly how I wanted to do that. So yeah, attending Fashion Week is a lot of editors, a lot of celebrities and things like that. And mind you, I didn't know I wanted to go into styling at the time, so it wasn't like I was meeting celebrities or things like that. But I met like Jay Alexander, who was, on Top Model with Tyra Banks, and he was really nice. And so yeah, I was more of an observer during that time. So like you could be a fly on the wall and learn so much versus kind of meeting somebody who can hand you like a career. Because if you don't really know what you want to do, you don't want to waste their time either. So yeah, I just kind of like felt around just to kind of see what everybody was like and what they were doing and if they liked it, like that kind of thing.
You know what? I remember, but when you came on my radar, it was probably around 2015. My brother sent me a picture on Instagram where you were in S magazine, like a blogger, and you got all kinds of views from that.
Yeah.
And he said, she's from Longview. Get a follower because this is the type of exposure that you needed. When I was building Punch Cosmetics, he was saying, like, did you know this chick? I kid you, no lie. After that, I was like, she's from Longview? Who is this?
I know.
The universe brought us together because
definitely.
Not shortly after that, we met up for drinks. We linked up some kind of way. I don't know how, but I think we knew some of the same people. And then from that, I reached out, we talked, and it was just like, and you being spirit that you are, with the open big heart, you were kind of like, okay.
I want friends. Hello, be my friend.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like? Like, you start to gain some traction on your blog, and you start blogging on a regular basis. And then how did that open doors for you?
Well, it was crazy. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I blogged as like, clearly we know influencer life is different now, which that will be my one regret, is that I didn't really stick with it on the side, because now all of the people I came up with are like booming now. But it did offer me opportunity to be in Essence magazine. I was in Teen Vogue, not Teen Vogue, 17 magazine. Yeah. I was on Vogue Italia's page. So it definitely showed me kind of a different way, like how successful you can be, like where the trajectory can keep going the more you put yourself out there, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I guess around that time, when I knew I was leaving New York, I decided styling was going to be what I wanted to do. I felt like I could work with people. I love people. I love making people feel happy and good about themselves. So I felt like going to LA was better because Hollywood's there and filming is there. I knew New York was only going to be about 5 years for me. I did 6. I didn't want to be there forever. And LA was always my second city. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to transfer. At the time I was working in advertising, so I transferred my job to LA and started hustling on the side for styling jobs. And how I started my very first foot in the door. So just to like kind of give people advice, if you're listening and you want like how to figure out how to get your foot in the door, you kind of have to strategize a bit. So I have a really good girlfriend. She runs the ybf.com.
Yeah.
And I would do free correspondence work for her. So basically, if there was a movie premiere, I would go cover it on the red carpet for her, like a reporter. And I knew, hey, I want to style celebrities. Where are celebrities? They're on red carpets. They're going to movie premieres. So I met Thomas Jones. He was in Being Mary Jane and Luke Cage. Mm-hmm. He's super gorgeous and an ex-NFL player. His manager and I became super good friends. And she took me out to lunch one day and gave me like a rundown. Like it's like the snowball effect of like how to put your foot in the door, but you have to be in the door to do that, right?
Right.
And figuring out how to put yourself in a position to meet people. And yeah, I told her friend, I was like, listen, I'm doing this correspondence work, but this is not what I want to do forever. I want to be a stylist, and I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. And I learned from there, okay, who hires stylists? Managers and publicists. It's very little about the celebrity itself. It's all about the publicist and manager. So she gave me the rundown, educated me on that. I took that and then started reaching out to every manager and publicist in LA trying to get work. And I think one person emailed me back, and we're friends to this day. And it was for a girl off Vanderpump Rules. She was doing a photo shoot and they hired me for it, and the rest has been history.
Wow.
I think I had one photo in my portfolio. It was a homegirl. Her boyfriend was attending an award show, and she let me style her, right? Like help her pick out a dress. But she's at the Emmys, right? So I mean, if I'm having one styling credit of like or Emmys red carpet, it don't matter who it is, you know. Right. I used that and was like, hey, I'm a stylist. Look at me. Like I have work. Hire
me. Right. So do you think that like your experience in New York prepared you for LA? Like to
Absolutely. New York is a hustle. New York is such a hustle. It's such a fast pace. LA is so laid back. It kills me sometimes how laid back LA is. I feel like New York taught me how to grind a bit and be in like a city where you're walking everywhere, where you're having to lug things, or you're having to like schlep it and like all those things. And then you get to LA and you're like, okay, well, chop, chop, chop. Let me get on it. And that's exactly what I did. And I feel like that's why I saw results faster.
I agree. I agree.
Because I never assisted anybody. I never was like an apprentice or anything like that. Like I think I assisted one person that was that Jay Bolin, and that was when I was already styling, and it was just a great opportunity to work with somebody and learn more because you never know everything and you always want to learn and evolve. And yeah, so I use that and just that's the only time I really like assisted.
So you've collabed with greats like Dampy Lee. What was that experience like? Dampy Lee has styled like many amazing people. So give us a rundown of what it's like
Yeah.
to kind of help your
So
career professionally.
yeah, so Dan is okay. So I don't know if you got okay. So let me put it in perspective. Jason Rembert styles Issa Rae. He
Okay.
styles Issa Rae. He styles. He used to style like Rita Ora, like a bunch of A-listers, right? Dan is his apprentice. He's his assistant, but
Okay.
he's getting ready to venture out on his own. So Dan styles Famous Dex, and he's a football player. He went to Oklahoma. I can't think of his name, but so yeah, but Dan is based in New York, and me and Dan met on a oh my god, what's the guy who went to jail? He went to he looks kind of like his hair is like, and he kind of what is his name? He got in trouble for well, what? Hold please, I'm sorry.
I need
It's
more
gonna irk me.
information.
Um,
He went to jail for what?
for like gun toting, but he was the guy who insulted Lauren London after Nipsey Hussle passed, and he got so much crap for it.
Okay,
Um,
Kodak Black. Kodak Black.
yes, thank you. Okay, yes, Kodak Black. So
Yeah. I just need more
I was
information.
styling all of the so I was styling the background dancers and
Oh,
background talent for his music video.
okay.
And that's Dan's client. And so
Oh,
me and him met on set, hit it off, became like Christian brothers and sisters because all we talk about is how good God is and like our careers and things like that. And so since he's based in New York and I'm in LA, one of his clients needed like a stylist for this, like not need a stylist as in like services. Like Dan already had everything taken care of. He just needed eyes and feet on the ground. And he was like, hey, can you help me take care of this client? And that's just kind of like the camaraderie, if you find like good people, how those opportunities can come about. I mean, I obviously got paid well and, worked with like a really great artist and yeah, met tons of people on the set. It was a great experience. And yeah, so that's kind of how like that happened.
so let me give our viewers a rundown of your clients so that they kind of understand where your celebrity list has come from. First of all, you guys need to know that she has an awesome resume with clients like Tanisha Long, who plays Lane Roberts on Bigger on BT. She's worked with Russell Hornsby, the father that is in The Hate You Give. She's worked with Joe Morton from Scandal. She has worked with Chad Michael Murray, who has made appearances on Empire. She has worked with countless others, but the Brian Michael, who was nominated for some Emmy roles. But just to give you some background to let you know that she's a real celebrity stylist with some skin in the game, with some real
Thank you.
celebrities that she has worked with. And I want you to tell us, like, what gives you your inspiration when you're working with a new client? How do you get inspiration to try to figure out what looks good on a person? Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, it's funny because not everybody's gonna gel and not every client's a great client. Like I'm such an emotional person that if I don't click with you on some level, it's just not gonna work, right? Because it's such an intimate job.
Yes.
Now, my inspiration, I'm very collaborative. I never go into it saying, hey, you're gonna wear this, and that's it. I'm very much like get to know them, get to know what their style is, get to know like their personalities, obviously venue and occasion is important to know what they're attending. Yeah, I mean, it's very personal. And yeah, so it's very collaborative in the sense of like, you just want to make sure like their ideas are being heard as well. Their personalities are coming out. Their vibe is being portrayed accurately and not just throwing them in something and saying, hey, go out there in this chicken costume and make it work. It's fashion, because you can see when people are comfortable and when people are uncomfortable. And the point is to elevate who you naturally are and not make you somebody you're not.
So you styled women and men. You have do you have a preference?
But when I started, I just wanted to style men, and I did that strategically because I felt like men was a very ignored sector in Hollywood at the time. Nobody wanted to do menswear. And I was like, okay, well, nobody wants to do menswear. I'm going to do menswear and I'm going to kill it. And that's how I'm going to get known. And then women will come later, blah, blah, blah. So I started working with Tim and Durrett. He was on Queen Sugar, which is funny because he is 6'5" and not like sample size, right? Like he is like an athlete size. So, right. I mean, exactly. So working with him was like, okay, you're going to be my doll. You're going to be my experiment. Yeah. And we became super good friends to the point where he would make fun of me if fittings lasted a while because he's just like, you know me by now, so you should know what I want. Like, okay, da-da-da. So it was like a running joke of like, how long is this fitting going to be? One of my really good clients is Eamon Joseph. He's on Snowfall. He's on FX Snowfall. He's been in Baywatch. He just got casted for like another movie getting ready to come out. He's the same way. He gives me so much crap, and he's just like, Lauren, like, why are we here? Like you, like, bam, bam, bam. And for his press run with Dancing Idris off Snowfall, we did a whole press. Like, I think we did 4 or 5 looks for his press run, and it took us 15 minutes to do it because I've been working with him for like 3 years now, and I know all of his sizing, I know his vibe, I know like he likes, he trusts me, like we like to experiment and things like that. So yeah, like I started off with men, and then I started opening myself up to women more, but I was very picky because women are difficult. I'm a girl, I know.
Like gorillas, not the bridezillas.
Well, yeah, because women have such pressure in Hollywood. To be fair, right? Like they have to look amazing. They have to be like this perfect entity, which can't falter much. So they're very impressionable. So they'll see another girl wearing something, and you can come with a great idea, and they're just like, no, because such and such wore this. I want to wear this because
stand out.
Such and such it girl look like this. And it's like, okay, you could do that, but for me, I am a creative. Like I like to collaborate. Like I don't want it to be cookie cutter either. Yeah. So my first girl that I landed was Betty Gabriel. She was in the movie Get Out, and she's on Defending Jacob on Apple TV with Chris Evans. Okay. We hit it off. Like, we are like soul sisters, and she understood me and I understood her, and same with Tanisha. Tanisha, she's on Bigger right now. You probably know her from Girl Code. She's super funny. I mean, she's hysterical, but like she's one of my best friends. Like all the women that I work with regularly are like my best friends because we click on like a level that's not just like fashion, but it's also understanding like the end goal is of like staying true to themselves and creating fashion as an extension of who they already are and not trying to just live up to what everybody else is doing.
I have one question though. How do you, I'm sure other people will ask, how do you get the clothes for your clients? How do you get that? How does that work?
For celebrity clients, it's typically through PR. So every brand either goes through a showroom or they have their own in-house PR. Mm-hmm. So I'll just reach out and ask for approval for a client to wear clothing. The bigger the client, the more likely they'll say yes. I've had nightmare situations where the client may not have been as known as, I mean, I know them and I believe in them, obviously. I don't care about the ABCD lister title. But a brand will say no if they don't I mean,
If they
they're
don't
in
have
it for
that,
press. Yeah, they're in it for press. So if it's not something in it for them, then they're just not. They're not going to loan. So sometimes it's depending on what the budget is. If Netflix is giving me a good budget, then I have to buy sometimes or rent. You know, it's just like my job is to figure it out. You know, I can't go to the client and say I don't have clothes because Gucci wouldn't let you wear a suit. I have to find a suit. So yeah.
so who is your celebrity? Who is your dream celebrity client? If you had your choice based on like their style, your aesthetic, if you had to say, I would love to work with this person because I know that I could really do some damage with their look. I could dress them up. I could style them in the perfect way. Who would that person be?
I love Yvonne Orji from Insecure.
Oh,
I really do. I'm obsessed with her. Like, I just think
mhm.
she's so beautiful.
I like her
And
too.
like, let me be honest. I love the whole cast. So honestly, they're all on my list.
Yeah.
I, I mean,
Lawrence.
yeah, Jay Ellis
Jay
is
Ellis.
perfect. He's so gorgeous. I
Yeah.
mean, really just all of those standout people who are just killing it right now. I mean, it's a great time to be in Black Hollywood right now. So, and then I was very, very close to styling Samuel L. Jackson. I was extremely close to styling Samuel L. Jackson. But he already has somebody who works with. He already has somebody that he works with, but his publicist was like, "Oh my God, he'd love you," and I was like, "I know, like, darn." So yeah, I just love people with great personalities and that just make work not feel like work, and yeah, and all the people I named are people who have great reputations in Hollywood, and their publicists and teams speak like really highly of them. So obviously, it's what type of character.
How did you almost get Samuel Jackson though?
I talked to his publicist. Like, me and her corresponded for a bit, and she was like, "He'd love you." I had one of my really good friends is his publicist's best friend, so she introduced me. And unfortunately, he already works with somebody, but I mean that's okay. Like you never know what can happen.
One day,
you never know.
one day. So that brings me to this important question that it was asking me before. Do you need an agent? Is an agent needed to become a stylist?
No. I'll break down the agent thing because I kind of thought that too at first. I think an agent is a great look, right? But I don't think it's a necessity. There's so many freelancers without representation that are out there, and they're doing their own thing and they're killing it. An agent pretty much facilitates your rates, so they're good with negotiating your rates. Obviously, if you're so busy and you can't keep up with your calendar, they're there to keep up with your calendar. But I've had meetings with a top agency before, and they wanted to put me on like a developmental roster. But at the same time, they made it clear, like, you still got to hustle for your work. And I appreciate that, right? Because some people think once you get an agent, you don't have to hustle for work anymore. Everything's just handed to you, but that's not the case. So one thing I do like about being freelance is that all the money is my money. If you have an agency, they take 10% or 20% of your check. I mean, I tested with an agency before. It was like a boutique agency when I felt like I needed one, and I brought all the work to the table, but was losing like that percentage. So I was just like, yeah, it's great that this money is being direct deposited into my account, but I'm coming from an admin world. I used to be in advertising. I used to work for a law office. Like, I know how to do my own stuff. So know your personality, because there's certain people who hate. My best friend, she's a makeup artist. She hates dealing with all the financial. She gone?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, you're good. No, yeah, I have a friend who hates paperwork, and so she loves knowing an agent is going to take care of all that for her. So it just kind of depends on your personality. I mean, there's pros and cons to each, but is it a necessity? No.
So we've talked about how you moved from Houston to, well, you actually moved from school. You were going to A&M. You went from
Mhm.
A&M to Houston for a bit. Then you went to New York. And then you were in LA.
Mhm.
So in LA, how now that you're probably older, how important? Like someone's just
Much older.
yes, how
Much older.
important is
Man,
going
time
to red
flies.
carpet
Darn.
events to try to network, to meet clients and so forth?
Say that one more time. So
How
do
important is going to red carpet events to meet and network to meet clients?
um so I don't do that really anymore. The times that you guys saw me at things like BT Awards or Indie Awards, that was like a bucket list thing. It wasn't a necessity to like meet people. Now I'm more of a networker in the sense of like I'm such good friends with publicists and managers, like they'll invite me out to events so I can meet their colleagues. But in terms of like being at actual like red carpet things, like that's not necessarily like what I need to do at this point. Because they're working, and I mean, unless I have a client walking and I'm there with them, it doesn't really make sense at this point for me to do that. So now my level of networking is like networking like internally through like publicists and managers, and staying in touch and being introduced to people's colleagues and saying, oh, such and such works with this person, like kind of like the Samuel L. Jackson story. My really good friend introduced me to her colleague who's one of her best friends and was like, Sam will love her. So I mean, it's kind of more simple now versus like having to be out and about how I was doing at the beginning when I was like corresponding on red carpets and like just trying to get my foot in the door.
Oh, so
Yeah.
for someone who is trying to get in the game, like people think they're fly and just think, shoot, I need to style this person. Or, we all know that friend that's always, when you go out, they're the ones that's telling somebody else, I know you're not going to wear that. They're the style. You don't need to wear this and you don't need to wear that. If you want to be a stylist, what's your advice to them?
I mean, I say Instagram will tell you everything you need to know. I mean, I follow a lot of people that I admire. I follow Kendrick Lamar stylists. I follow like Kerry Washington stylists and Zendaya stylist, La Roche. I follow like my obviously my friends. They'll tell you a lot what you need to know without meaning to tell you what you need to know. Assisting will never go out of style. I mean, the best hands-on experience you'll ever get is being on set, being with somebody who knows more than you. I know that that's like such a cliche kind of thing to say because people want like a quick like, oh, you should do this and send this and da da da. But in reality, I wish I would have assisted more. I mean, I definitely feel like had I done that at the very beginning before I even started, I mean, I've lost clients because I wasn't as knowledgeable or there were things I was still trying to learn. And had I already learned them, I would not have made those mistakes. So while making mistakes is good because you learn from them, sometimes, I mean, why do you have to intentionally make a mistake if you know you won't have to make it if you're learning from somebody who is like a veteran in the game? Most of the stylists that I look up to assisted under somebody, unless like it was just, a situation where they just kind of either knew a celebrity and already was on or, that kind of thing. So, I mean, yeah, like learn as much as you can. I mean, I research all the time. I have so many tabs of just things that I would like find. There is this site called School of Style. You have to pay to like take classes, but they give so much good information just on like their YouTube channel and their website. So yeah, check that out and like, you know, read through the little tidbits and things. Network, obviously, try to attend celebrity events and find somebody who can take you around so that you can meet managers and publicists and things like that. Style your own shoots. People think it's so weird, but that whole fake it till you bake it culture is it's actually not horribly bad because now you have a portfolio of work that you can show somebody if they're like, oh, let me follow you on Instagram, let me see your work. You already have work. It doesn't matter who it is. If you have a good aesthetic and somebody likes your how you do things or your look or whatever, who cares how if it's with somebody knows or not knows, whatever. That's your work. So I mean, even now, like that Hollywood shut down, I still have my own shoots. I still make sure I'm staying as creative as I can. Like I shoot a lot. I work more on the influencer side right now during this downtime, but it's still keeping me creative. I'm still working with brands. I'm still collaborating. So it's keeping me busy in the sense of like, okay, I'm still staying creative. The biggest thing I can say is there's no right or wrong answer to things. You have to do what's best for you and what's conducive to your lifestyle and in your life. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any shame in assisting. I don't think there's any shame in doing your own shoots, finding a photographer and just saying, hey, I'm just going to go buy and return some clothes from Zara or H&M and I'm going to style this look and I'm going to post it. And I mean, who's to say that's your work? So yeah.
What brand is like your favorite brand? Like for men, this brand is like the ultimate brand for men. For like Barney, you
I wish
can't go wrong.
I am so inundated with brands all the time. My opinion changes every day. Like one day it could be Cult Gaia for girls because they have beautiful, just like, I mean, their stuff is just like art. For men, it could be, I mean, it could just be Louis Vuitton. I mean, they have really great suiting. Really great suiting. Or it could be Mark Kaiser, who does really good streetwear for a lot of athletes wear his stuff. It's like all graphic tees and stuff. I mean, it changes so much because everything changes so much, right? So it's like I'll see a new collection and I'll bookmark it. Like there was a young girl, she's from Nigeria. She has like, I don't know if you saw, I had posted like almost her entire collection on Instagram because it was so beautiful on my stories. So yeah, I mean, I bookmark things all the time. My taste changes all the time. Like right now I'm in the more like feminine, like girly things. But then fall comes, I could be right back in combat boots and, you know, so it's, I mean, I wish I could say I'm one of those like, oh my God, like Zimmerman is my favorite of all time, but I'm a Sag. We change our mind too much.
What about like how you had to adjust from moving from New York where the weather and the climate is different to moving to sunny California? You had to change to a whole 360 with your wardrobe and stuff. What was that like? And changing, you know what I have a question about? I'm sorry, I gotta back this
No, go ahead.
up. In the same question. I love New York. Every time I go to New York, I mean, I just love to go there for so many reasons. But when I went the first few times, I was looking for like that fashion world that everybody was talking about. I thought I was going to these shops and fashion was just going to be so out there. And then I had to learn about sample sales. How do you catch like really good deals at sample sales in New York and LA? Tell me about that.
Okay, so I don't do sample sales, but I do consignment. So it's a talent. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I will because I can find so many good pieces for not a lot. So like maybe like right before quarantine happened, this site called The Real Real, they had like a 60% off sale. So I think I got like $3,000 worth of clothes for like maybe like $200. And the brands range from like good stuff like ALC to Alexander Wang to Kate Spade. I got so much stuff. Or I got what's the guy's name? Alexander Wang. There's another guy. Opening ceremony. Yeah, it's called The Real Real. And also too, like right now, because we're all in lockdown, all these different retailers and brands are having amazing sales because Nobody's really shopping the way that they used to. So like everything is on sale. But no, I was getting like I got an Alexander Wang dress for like $30, and it was like regular at like 700. So yeah, like I did go to one sample sale my entire time in New York, and it was for Helmut Lang, I think. But like the sample sale, I don't know why. It just like wasn't like my like, oh my God, I have to go to this sample sale. But they're great. I mean, I get emails about them all the time, but I normally do consignment. Because a lot of times, like I know consignment gets a bad rep because it's like pre-used, but half the time the tags are still on because nobody ever wore it and they're just getting money back from a purchase that they didn't use. And then also a lot of times it's stylists that their client used it or wore it once and they're just getting rid of it because the brand doesn't require them to send it back. So it's like, it's worth it, you know, because it's not at full price. It's always going to be super discounted.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a tip.
I never heard of that.
I'll send it to you. I'll text it to you.
Yes, you always put me on. You always put me on to this. I know nothing about. So I appreciate this. So what is it? Answer this question for our viewers. What's a misconception about you or about stylists that people don't know that they need to know?
I mean, I feel like people just in general fashion, they just think snooty and just, I just like Dior and Gucci and da-da-da, and you don't have this, I can't talk to you. I really could care less. I mean, I'm such a chill person. I just love the creativity of fashion. I love fashion. To me, it's like no other, it's like an art form just like anything else. It's like painting. It's like, you know, and I don't take it serious. It's not my identity. I'm very spiritual, and you know, I have that part of me in perspective of like, you're not defined by what you do, and you treat people with respect all the time. So I think sometimes people think people in fashion are like snooty, because I do find myself sometimes saying that, oh, I'm a stylist, or oh, I work in fashion, but I'm nice, you know, because it's like people sometimes they're like, oh, she's one of those. Yeah. I mean, I like makeup, I like fashion, I like nice things. I mean, but I don't allow that to change how I treat people, you know, like people are human beings and not what I try to do.
I have a fashion question. So I remember years ago, and I'm one of those people, I'm not a label whore.
Me neither. Me neither. I don't care.
Twisted. If it's Gucci and it's popping, hey.
Exactly.
If it's popping, though, it ain't just not just because it's Gucci. Not just because it's Louis Vuitton, not just because it's like a brand. It's because it's popping. But the thing about it is, like women, we can put on Gap. Sharon Stone did it best back at the what was the award?
I think the Oscars, right?
The Oscars, was she on the Gap top, and I think Oscar de la Renta, whatever it was. But my point is, we can put like a lesser brand as long as it's cute, as long as we pair it right. So my question,
listen, I had clients in Top Shop, and people didn't even know. Like I got put into GQ for my Snowfall client Eamon, and I mean, we laugh about this all the time. You're just like, hey, do you remember when you got in GQ and you were wearing head to toe Zara? Like, he got best dressed, and they were like skewering everybody else, and he was the only one they were like nice to, because it was very like beach theme and thing. So it's like, who cares? It's like, as long as you look good, you feel good, you're able to express yourself. I mean, the label thing is very like those people who have to wear that, and it's just like, it's not necessary.
It's pretentious. And my thing is, like, did you bathe today? And it's yours. Do you own it while you're being so rambunctious about the fact that you wear these clothes that just because they have a label on it, does that define you? So my question is, how do you feel about mixing and matching brands? For instance.
I do it all the time. Oh my god! So I have my reflection in the back, and I was like, "Oh, y'all, I'm wearing Zara." Like literally, like wearing Zara. I just bought this top.
Yeah.
So for y'all, but no, like yeah, like for me, it's like mixing and matching is like you said. It's as long as it looks good. If it's Forever 21 and it's popping and nobody can tell it's Forever 21, who cares? Like this whole stigma of like you reach a certain point or age or tax bracket even that you have to wear certain things, like it's silly to me. Like coming from a fashion or creative, background, like that doesn't matter. I've seen people in head to toe like designer labels and it's like
tacky.
It just it doesn't look it just doesn't look quite right. But then I'll see people and I'll be like, oh wait, what are you wearing? And they'll be like, oh, I'm wearing H&M or like Zara or Forever 21. And I'm like, wow, I thought this was you would have thought this was straight off like a runway. So it's about expressing yourself and just not
originality.
Yeah.
Counts for something. Having your own personality and being able to wear your own thing that reflects who you are, how comfortable you are in your own skin. Why it doesn't have to be Gucci, Prada, Fendi, just for it to be popping. If you popping and you know how to rock it, hey, you get kudos for that.
Listen, and right now, because of the whole like Black Lives Matter and everybody is getting roasted online, those brands aren't popping anyway right now because they are getting outed so bad for like the racist things that they have done to their models and their teams. So it's like right now it's like the perfect time to find Black owned brands or brands that, aren't just your typical like, you say the name and everybody's like, oh, that's cute. I encourage people to think outside of that box because at the end of the day, they're not really targeting us anyway.
Right. And that's what people fail to realize. I don't have, I'm not going to speak on some things that I really just don't want to speak on, but we got to get out of that wearing labels just because it's a label, because who we trying to impress? Not them, because they don't care about us.
Right, exactly. I mean, clothing is an expression of you and your personality. It shouldn't define you. And I think that's the sad part is when people feel like they have to have something because it defines them or it shows they're in a particular tax bracket, so they feel like they're more taken seriously. It's from how the industry that I'm in and now really getting to see it, people don't care about that at all. Like it is literally how you carry yourself. What are you about? Who are you as a person? That kind of thing. Now, yeah, LA can be a bit pretentious in a lot of ways, but I can never say that somebody judged me because I wore a Zara dress. Most of the time I'm getting complimented, right? Like it's not like anybody even knows. So it's like, it has to be that point where you know who you are and know that you are more than just a label of what you're trying to wear and who you're trying to impress.
So I want to open up to questions.
Oh yeah, we did go over.
We want to give people a chance to ask questions. Let's see. We want to give a shout out to people. You need to comment to some folks. They're saying Toya Safancy said that you have such a great personality. And
thank you. I'm so weird, girl. I'm so goofy.
I don't even know. You are the sweetest person, but they don't know. I have to shout you out. Like their resume is popping, and people need to understand. When you're trying to get into this industry, you want to work with celebrities, build your brand up. You need to understand how important it is to probably start at the bottom, work underneath people, learn everything you need to know before you keep going to these different levels. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And the biggest thing is be nice. Like people tell me all the time that hire me for jobs. It's half of it is because I'm so easygoing and I don't take all of this so serious to where I'm like hard to communicate with or talk to. a lot of it is just, are you easy to be around? Do people like, working with you? And I think that's part of why I've been able to work with so many people is because I'm making it a point to be nice. Like being nice is the number one, and everything else is under that.
That's right. And you are, friend. You are like a gem.
Thank you.
I love our
Thank
talk.
you.
I can't wait until the world opens back up and we can
I
get out
know.
and have our little lunch dates like we
I
do.
know.
And
Oh
then,
my gosh.
you're in Houston now.
The corner store is getting all my money from wine. I'm like,
Right,
oh Lord,
right,
I just
right,
like.
right. So before we close out, I just want to say thank you. And I want you to tell people, how can they follow you on social media? Give all your shout outs and tell people where to follow you.
Okay, so I'm going to be absolute worst at Facebook. I am so sorry, y'all. I don't know what it is. I think I get overwhelmed with social media, so I just try to pick like one or two platforms to be on at a time. So I am heavy on Instagram, so you can follow me at Lauren Taylor Style. My website is the same name, and also my Twitter, which I'm kind of bad at too. I mean, I'm getting better. I'm on Pinterest now. Like, I'm one of those people, like, I just can't be on everything, but I'm very, very heavy on Instagram. And if I'm heavy on Instagram, I'll point you to the other direction. So, yeah. Oh, she put it down there. Oh, look at Punch. So fancy. I think she's still there. She's probably coming back in. But yeah.
Okay.
There she is.
There I am. I just want to make sure that I got it all so that people can see. Well, friend,
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
This was a great interview. I've enjoyed every single moment. I love you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I love you too. And if you guys have any specific questions, I'm so open. My DMs are always open. My emails open. Just hit me up and just ask me. I'm responsive. I mean, I get it. We're all trying to get through this time. And if it's a transitional period for you, this is the perfect time to try something new and get yourself out there. So yeah, just hit me up. I'm so happy to help.
You heard that. DMs are open.
DMs are open.
DMs are open. So if you have some questions, you can reach out. This is where you will follow Lauren. This is all her social media, Lauren Taylor Style. And hey, reach out. Let us know if you have questions. Lauren is always open to answer. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you, my friend.
Guys.
And I'll be talking to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
For our next episode of Building the Brand.
Woo-hoo.
Bye.